What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a bit of a sad one. If you can already tell by the title of the video, we are actually going to be doing an exit interview on my F30 335. So I'm going to kind of go over the things that I love about this car, the reasons for getting rid of it, and what the plans are, and I'll kind of go over the modifications that are on this thing just so you guys have an idea of what it looks like and the things that I've done over the last year and a half of my ownership. But it is going to be a sad video, and I'm going to take you guys along for a little quick drive, and we'll talk. Alright guys, so like I said, big sad for today. This will be probably the last, if not one of the last days that I get to drive this car. And there are several reasons why, so I am going to go over those. Like I said, I will also kind of tell you guys what the plans are, as well as the modifications that are on this car currently, if you wanted to try to replicate what I have done to this thing. But this has been a really fantastic car. So if you guys have been following the channel, you'll know that this is a 2014 F30 335i rear-wheel drive, fully loaded. I bought it about just over a year and a half ago. It's been about a year and 7 or 8 months, something like that. And throughout my ownership, I've done quite a few things, lots of videos on this car. I've developed a lot of relationships with new companies, new people, and wanted to give a quick shout out to all my sponsors that have supported me throughout this channel and throughout this build with my F30. Without them, I really couldn't have the car looking the way it is today. So let's go over some of the modifications that have been done to this thing, the way it currently sits. So not in any particular order. The car did come with about 32,000 miles on it when I purchased it. It did come with an M Performance power kit on it already, so it was already a little bit faster than a stock 335. I wasn't planning to do many power adders at the time, so for the first year, maybe longer, I left the car and the motor pretty much completely stock. So it did come with an M Performance exhaust, so I left that. I did put some carbon fiber tips on there. I basically started off with a lot of exterior modifications. So it started with a JHP Dynamics diffuser, which JHP is no longer in business, but there are plenty of companies that make this diffuser. It is real full carbon. There is no, polyurethane or fiberglass or anything like that. It is full carbon, very lightweight, nice piece, fits really well. And so after that, I did the carbon tips just to kind of fill the holes a little bit better and kind of go with my carbon theme that I have going on. So all of the carbon on this car is a 2x2 weave. After that, I went to a M Performance style front lip. So I really love the M Performance lip. I just don't like the fact that BMW sells it in a matte black. I was thinking about doing a painted version, but I like carbon, so I wanted the carbon to match. So I did a carbon lip. And same thing with that. That actually came from JHP Dynamics as well, the first lip. And eventually I ended up cracking that lip on a parking block. And so I had to switch it up. I ended up buying like a cheap eBay gloss black lip, and I ran that for a little while, but I really just like the carbon. So I ended up buying another lip. I actually had developed a relationship with Extreme Powerhouse, and Mike over there sent me over an M Performance front lip. So that is what is currently on the car, and even now I have a small little crack in the clear coat, but there is no cracks in the weave or anything. Fitment's pretty good as well. So I did videos on all those installs. Additionally, I do have a Gates Innovations high kick spoiler, so huge shout out to George over at Gates. Really quality piece. The fitment's really awesome. It came ceramic coated already, and the customer service with them is fantastic. So if you're looking for any carbon fiber parts for your F30, definitely hit up Gates Innovations. Additionally, I do have a nice Gates Innovations key fob, which you saw in the very beginning of the video. So that was a modification as well. And it's a nice weighted key fob, and it replaces the old ugly existing one. So really nice detail there. One of my other big sponsors on the channel is Unique Style Racing, and so they sent over a lot of products, not only for my F30, but they also sent some for the M3 and the E46. So from USR, we have, which is by far probably my favorite modification on this car, is the LCI Blackline taillights. They've been fantastic. They work really nice and they complement the car. I think that Blackline taillights look fantastic on mineral gray. It's by far my best modification in my opinion. I actually even did a lot of coding in here with Beamer code to make the taillights stay on throughout the daytime, because I just love the way they look. LEDs, and you know, they work really well. I haven't had any issues with those. Additionally, they sent over some blacked out LED side markers for the side marker lights here on the side mirrors, and fitment on there is also fantastic. And they're not as bright as OEM, but I like the way they look because they're black, they look more sleek, and they are sequential, so they blink a little bit differently. USR also hooked me up with some front turn signal LEDs. So we've got some LEDs in the headlights, and they're super bright, made a huge difference. I love those as well. In terms of exterior modifications, body panels, that sort of thing, that's pretty much it. It did come already with some M Performance carbon fiber mirror caps, and that's about it. The whole outside exterior has been done. It looks really fantastic in my opinion, but for the longest time I was on stock suspension, stock M Sport suspension, which I'm not a big fan of, and so I ended up swapping that out to some Bilstein V8 dampeners with H&R Sport Springs. I did a couple install videos for that, kind of explained my reasoning for choosing that suspension setup. I do get a lot of questions on how I feel about the setup and the drop. For a daily, I cannot be any happier. I mean, it rides really nicely. The drop is moderate. It does get rid of some wheel gap, and depending on your tire sizes, you can eliminate a lot of the wheel gap and still have plenty of clearance to drive around. So I know a lot of guys use H&R Springs, but when it's paired with Bilstein V8 dampeners, it's a phenomenal suspension setup, because I've heard that H&R Springs by itself is really harsh. So you don't want to go that route. You want to do the combination. It's worth doing. So pretty much the only other exterior modification are wheels. And so I did have the OEM 403M wheels, which were okay, didn't mind them, but they were a little bit beat up. The previous owner kind of curbed all of them, and I decided, instead of refinishing them, that I would sell them and buy 437M wheels. And I actually loved it so much that I bought two sets. So the current set that's on the car are gloss black, and it does have Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires on there currently, which is also a phenomenal tire setup. But I loved it so much that I ended up buying a second set that was actually silver, and had a little bit of curb marks, that sort of thing, and I wanted to do something a little bit different, so I had them refinished and powder coated in a satin bronze, compliments of JSC Coatings. So hit them up if you're in the greater Cincinnati area. They do really great work. They've done two sets of wheels for me, and I couldn't be happier. Bronze wheels were basically my winter setup, paired with some Yokohama Advanced Sport all-season tires. Also a really nice setup, and I actually went a little bit larger tire size on that to kind of fill in the wheel gap a little bit better, and I actually think that they look better than the gloss black setup. You really can't go wrong. The 437M wheels are by far my favorite wheels on this platform. I think they look better on the F30 than they do on the F80. A couple other exterior modifications that I did not mention are F80 style kidney grills. I got rid of the orange front bumper reflectors, did a keyhole delete, and that might be about it. Moving on to the interior, I did do some upgraded M2 paddle shifters. They've been not bad. Did it for pretty cheap. Did a video on that as well. It does also have a silver start button, and inside of here it's pretty much stock. I mean, it's got that performance trim in here, which is the dry carbon mixed with the Alcantara. I did have a dash cam in here as well. Compliments of the guys over at Black Box My Car. They sent over a Thinkware FA200 2-channel dash cam that I've been running in this car for a long time, and it's been really fantastic. So that pretty much covers the interior of the car and the exterior. So in terms of actual performance modifications, I wasn't planning to do a whole lot there, but I ended up actually blowing the stock charge pipe. I was just driving home one day and the charge pipe blew. Car went into limp mode, so that gave me an opportunity to do a little bit of upgrading there. So I have an ARM Motorsports charge pipe, boost pipe, and front mount intercooler. Did install videos for that if you need a DIY. And I was just gonna leave the car like that for a while, but again, picked up more sponsors. Keys Motorsports, which is a huge name in the BMW community. If you are not already familiar with them, check them out as well. Keys Motorsports became a sponsor, and they sent over a couple parts. So we just recently did a boot mode tune on here. I'm currently running a stage 1 boot mode tune, and it's been really, really fantastic. It's obviously faster than it was with the M Performance Power Kit. Very smooth. I also did a trans flash on here, and it shifts a lot faster as well. Keys Motorsports also sent over an MST intake, which I think really enhances the experience of this car because now it makes really awesome noises. I mean, you can't beat that. It's got a lot of more induction and intake noise. You hear a lot more turbo spool and the diverter valves, and so it's been a really nice setup. Especially on the outside of the car, it just sounds wicked. So if you're looking for an intake, I highly recommend the MST. Fitment was really awesome as well. But in terms of performance mods, that's pretty much it. Okay, so let's talk about the experience that I've had over the last year and a half. I did a video on my first year of ownership of this car. The car has been flawless with the exception of the blown charge pipe. It's been hassle-free otherwise. Super reliable car. You know, the N55 has been out for a long time, and so the motor is pretty much perfected with this vehicle, and I could not be happier. So I couldn't be happier with my experience with this car. I do wish that it was a longer experience, but there are some other things that are going on in my personal life that are requiring me to sell a couple of vehicles. So as you guys know, I already have 2 cars. I do have the M3, which I don't really drive that often, so and I bought this as the daily, and this has been a fantastic daily driven car. But like I said, I do have some personal things going on. So my fiance and I actually just recently purchased almost 2 acres worth of land. So we will be actually selling our house and then eventually moving into a custom built home. So in order to do that, I wanted to kind of consolidate cars because, you know, like I said, I don't drive the M3 that much. And you might be wondering, why wouldn't you just sell the M3? So to be honest with you guys, of the 2 cars, if you were to hand me the keys to both and let me choose which one to drive, I'm going to choose the M3 7 days out of the week because it's just a completely different driving experience. Some of you might be wondering why I don't just daily the M3. So I did actually daily my previous E92 M3 that was a DCT, and fuel pricing at the time was really terrible, and I was filling up every 3-4 days. But now that my circumstances have changed a little bit and I'm working from home and COVID has prevented me from going out quite a bit, I think it just makes more sense to get rid of this car and daily drive the M3. And again, we also have my fiance's car as well. And we do have the Project E46 that I could also be driving a little bit here and there. But don't get me wrong, this car has been fantastic. I still choose the M3 over this car because I just have more of an emotional attachment to the M3. I don't particularly like this car as much as the M3, so that might give me some hate in the comments, but I'm just being honest with you guys. If you've never owned an M car, you just don't know what it's like. And you know, before this, I also had an E90 335, which I put a bunch of money into because my logic was, you know, I could save money by buying a cheaper car and do modifications and make it even faster than an M3, so why wouldn't I do that? But as soon as I bought my first M car, completely different experience. I can't exactly say the same thing for the new F80s and F-Series models of the M cars, but with older M cars, it's just a completely different experience. It's more raw, it's more emotional, and you know, with the new technology in these cars, it's nice to have creature comforts and stuff, but I feel like it lacks in the driving experience, and I'm more so about driving experience than horsepower. So it just makes sense to me to get rid of this car. I'm not emotionally attached to it. Yeah, I've got a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this car, and I put 10,000 miles on it since I've owned it. So I can say that I've, you know, done my fair share of driving with this car and have experienced it, and I still will choose the M3. I will say, if you guys are in the market for an F30 335, do not let this video steer you wrong, because I think this is a fantastic car. Just because you've never experienced an M car doesn't mean that this is not a good car. I'm not saying that at all. I actually really, really enjoy this, and I will miss it to some degree. I just don't have the emotional attachment to it like I do with my M car. But for an F-Series, this has been a really fantastic car. You can actually save a little bit of money instead of buying an F80 and buy one of these. And I think they look fantastic, they look new still, and you really just can't go wrong with this kind of car. Another reason that I'm choosing the M3 over this is the fact that my M3 is a manual. I am a die-hard manual fan. I've always, pretty much all my cars previous to this have all been manuals, and so I only bought the F30 in a automatic because I wanted to give my fiance an opportunity to drive the car whenever she needed it. She is kind of learning how to drive a stick shift, and she's going to have to learn. If she needs to borrow my M3, I will let her do so, but she needs to learn how to drive it first. So my initial plan was to just have this as an easy daily driven car that I don't have to worry about, but I don't sit in traffic or anything, so having a manual is just a better experience in my opinion, and that's another reason why I'm keeping the M3. So unfortunately, we are selling this car in about 2 days, and it's about 50 degrees here in Cincinnati in January, so I will be doing a final car wash on this and cleaning it up. The new owner wants all of the modifications minus the bronze set of wheels, so I've taken those off and I've swapped on the gloss black ones. I think he's gonna be really excited to have this car, as anyone should be, because it is super reliable. I will say I will miss the torque and the power in this car, because it's not incredibly fast. I don't have that many mods to this thing, but it sounds really great. It makes the right noises, and it just really throws you back in the seat. I mean, yeah, that's one great thing about this car is the torque, and I'm not going to have that with the M3, unfortunately, but different driving experience, so that's what I'm choosing instead. I mean, the intake noise is just fantastic. Oh. Man, this thing it's fun. It's a really fun car. Third and fourth gear are just so much fun. It's like the car just wakes up in third and fourth gear. It's a blast. The new owners will be really happy with this car. So once again, I do want to give a quick shout out to all of my sponsors that have helped me with this build throughout the last year and a half. I've developed some really great relationships with them, and I hope to continue working with them in the future. So the YouTube channel is not going anywhere. So that's another thing I do want to mention, because I know that the F30 has quite a bit of content on the channel, and I was planning to keep going with this car, but since we're getting rid of it, we are going to start doing videos with the M3 more, which is going to be really awesome. And who knows, I mean, you know, if things change over the next couple months, maybe I buy another BMW as, you know, a daily again. We'll see how it kind of goes, but the whole goal with this is to try to save up some money, because like I said, we are going to be building a custom home, and so we are selling this house as well that we're currently in, and we will be building something custom. So I want to rack up as much money as I can. Does that mean the M3 might leave? I mean, it's possible. Anything's for sale at the right price, so if somebody gives me a fantastic offer that I can't turn down, then that's something I will have to consider. But for now, the M3 is staying, and I will be daily driving that for a while, at least for the foreseeable future. And I'm kind of excited, actually, because I've been paying on the M3 for a while, and now the car is finally paid off, and I really need to just start enjoying the car. It's only got 27,000 miles on it. Everyone hates on me that I don't drive the car enough, and you know, I've got all this money and time and all this stuff into the car, and I don't ever drive it. So my logic now is changing, and I'm just going to enjoy the car for what it is. and maybe they're right, and so I'm just gonna enjoy it. So with that being said, huge shout out to my sponsors once again. I hope to be doing more business with you guys, and all of you subscribers that have followed along on the channel. I want to say thank you guys for checking in all the time and supporting the channel. Hopefully I don't lose any F30 guys. You guys can follow along on the M3 journey. I do have other friends with cars, and so you might actually see an F30 on here periodically, as well as a couple of M3s, E90s, that sort of thing. So with that being said, stay tuned for more. There will be plenty of content coming, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like, comment. We'll see you then. Take care. Well guys, final look at her after her last wash, in my ownership at least. Damn, this car looks good. Ooh. Interior all dialed in. Exterior obviously dialed in. I'm gonna miss this thing.